Jerusalem. For Israelis, Thursday was a day of celebration as most of the country basked in the glow President Trump's speech recognizing Jerusalem as their capital, but for Palestinians, it was a day of mourning, rage, and protests. In the West Bank, the Palestinian Authority called for a general strike, and in Gaza, the Islamist Hamas movement urged its followers to ignite a third intifada, or uprising, against Israel. Angry statements condemning Trump's decision also filled newspaper headlines in Arab countries across the region. Trump's announcement on Wednesday that he would move the U.S. Embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, and his declaration that the United States recognizes Jerusalem as Israel's capital reversed a decades-old U.S. policy. Many fear the step could spark another bloody conflict in the region. Hamas leader Ismail Haniyeh called for a new uprising in the Palestinian territories and declared Friday a day of rage. Tomorrow should be a day of rage and the beginning of a broad movement for an uprising that I call the Intifada of Freedom of Jerusalem, he said. He called on the Palestinian Authority to stop security coordination with Israel and enable the resistance in the occupied West Bank to respond to this blatant aggression. Our people and factions of the resistance are in a permanent meeting to follow developments to confront this strategic threat that threatens the city of Jerusalem, he added. For Trump, Jerusalem is an extension of a global culture war. Israel's army said it was preparing for an increase in violence in the coming days and that it has beefed up its troops in the West Bank, adding reinforcements to its combat intelligence and territorial defense units. U.S. institutions in the region were also readying themselves for possible violent fallout. Reuters reported that a State Department communique has been sent to diplomats at the embassy in Tel Aviv with talking points to convey to Israeli officials. While I recognize that you will publicly welcome this news, I ask that you restrain your official response, Reuters quoted the document dated December 6 as saying we expect there to be resistance to this news in the Middle East and around the world. We are still judging the impact this decision will have on U.S. facilities and personnel overseas. In his televised speech Wednesday, Trump said that presidents before him had signed a waiver delaying the recognition of Jerusalem under the belief that it might advance the cause of peace. But, he said, after more than 2 decades of waivers, we are no closer to a lasting peace agreement between Israel and the Palestinians. It would be folly to assume that repeating the exact same formula would now produce a different or better result. Therefore, I have determined that it is time to officially recognize Jerusalem as the capital of Israel, he said. Successive U.S. administrations have held off moving the embassy from Tel Aviv since the mid-1990s, in line with an international consensus that Jerusalem's status should be decided in a final peace agreement between the Israelis and Palestinians. Israelis see Jerusalem as their eternal and undivided capital, while Palestinians envision in the predominantly Arab eastern part of the city as the future capital of a Palestinian state.